First, Ian Dury, who in conjunction with fellow ex-blockhead Mickey Gallagher has been working with the Royal Shakespeare Company recently on the music to a play. It's called A Jovial Crew. It was originally written in the 1640s, and a revamped version of it opens tonight at the Barbican. Anne Nightingale did the honours.
Ian Dury and Mickey Gallagher, what is A Jovial Crew all about?
In a nutshell, it's about vagabonds in 1641, and to be destitute and do something like walk about was illegal. And if you were caught out of your own borough, if the crops failed, say, in Scunthorpe, and you were below the poverty line, you didn't get nothing to eat. You had to get up and go or you'd starve. But if you were caught outside your own borough, you could be whipped all the way back to where you came from. Or you could be put in chains, or you could be put in the stock with a pillory, or you could be made a slave of wherever they caught you. I mean, they could do anything they wanted with you, really, if you were destitute. So it's really basically about a band of vagabonds who annually come to a man called Squire Oldrents, his great big mansion, where he provides them with, sack and grub, a sack being booze, and let them party down in the barn, basically. So it starts like that, and gypsy. There's a vibe of Romany wanderers, all kinds. There's Irish there. There's a couple of foreign-looking people in the band, and Squire Oldrents is called Squire Oldrents because he never put the rent up because he's a very nice geezer for 100 years.
Basically, this is what this is how they survived. They'd go from one rich person's house to another. They would never outstay their welcome because there'd always be another band following on the next month. And so they wouldn't outstay their welcome. They'd move on.
You wrote all the music for it, Mickey?
Yeah. We read up about the period, educated ourselves as to what was happening and where we reckoned influences for music would come from round about then, Morris, Greek, European, and just try to put it together from that. Ian did a lot of research on the old lyrics, the language. There's a beggar's tongue called canting, which...
a bit like rhyming slang.
Right,
really.
yeah.
Oh, that's right up your street.
Right up my alley.
So give us an example.
What's that book? I'll give you where was me? Here's one of my lyrics here, which these are all words like an autumn malt. A malt is what they call a woman. A ken is a house. Canting is the actual language. It's a secret language that developed so that nobody, no authorities knew what they were talking about, basically. And it's a lot of it's Romany slang, in fact. And they use words like frummagem, rummagem.
What's that mean?
It's a word they use. It's just like gabble and croak. I'm trying to find
What's
one.
gabble and croak?
Well, it's just
Mort is it?
Mort is I know blokes in Fulham who still call their wife their Mort.
So how much is it a parallel of what's happening in this country now?
I think it's pretty close. Friends of mine who've been to see it always remark on, well, that's exactly what's happening now, 300 years later. And it is. The poor seem to be getting a really bad time, having a bad time, unable to survive and not getting any help from authority. What do they do with the homeless, Lincoln's Fields, all that? What are they going to do with it all?
This play was written a year before the Civil War broke out. And it was the last play that was on in England before the war. And it's a time just before people like the Levellers and the Renters and the New Model Army and that historical point where Britain almost became a kind of a wonderful socialist republic, and which didn't happen for hundreds of reasons that I don't even understand. But at this point, there was still King Charles I was still on the throne. And it was, you're either very rich or you're very poor, and it was really extreme. And the parallels are kind of, to point them out in a way would be a bit too obvious.
There was a fear at the time for the landed gentry did fear this army of beggars, which they supposedly was rumoured to be, in the country, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course there was this fear that one day the apocalypse, they were going to take over, and that's what instigated the revolution, a guy called Gerard Winstanley of the Levellers was a loud voice at that time, who was saying, knock all these barriers down, you know, stop enclosing places. And,
Curious, isn't it, that we should have a band called the Levellers and New Model Army?
Well,
Yeah.
yes,
Well, exactly.
Is it an enjoyable evening then?
Cool, yeah. Cracking. 3 hours of...
I would say so, yes. Yes, it's inspirational.
And 26 actors in the pit. I mean, really, it blows up. It explodes every 20 minutes into this incredible... I mean, it's wonderful.
Great. Ian, Mickey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Annie Nightingale with Ian Dury and Mickey Gallagher, set in 1641. I think that was featured on the Golden Hour this morning. And a Jovial crew is in repertoire until the autumn at the Barbican in the pit. I thought they were closing down all the pits. That's a topical joke, which unfortunately scores rather more heavily for topicality than it does for being funny. Still, you could say the same about Newsnight. It was the last time